All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our webinar on the healthcare area of focus. So welcome to Ask an EMBA. This is a series of webinars we've done all year long, utilizing the best of what Yale SOM EMBA has to offer, which is our students and our alumni. My name is Joanne Legler. I'm the Director of Admissions for the MBA for Executives program at Yale SOM, and I'm very happy to welcome you all to this event. Over the year, like I said, we've been fortunate to engage our best ambassadors for the program, our students and our alumni over the last year to discuss topics in our Ask an EMBA series, such as the first year experience, women in the EMBA program, and more recently, one of our most unique features of the program, our area of focus structure, has been the topic of the last 3 webinars. We're going to continue that today with a panel of both current students and alumni, and they'll offer their take on the experience as students and as graduates of the MBA for Executives program, specifically within the healthcare area of focus. It goes by quickly. It'll be a quick 45 minutes. You'll learn as much as we possibly can tell you about the healthcare area of focus, the impact of the program that it's had on our students and alumni, both personally and professionally. And they'll talk a little bit more generally about the community at Yale SOM and the EMBA program. If we have a few minutes towards the end of the session, we're more than happy to open it up to your questions. You can put your questions into the Q&A feature and we'll answer those at the end of our time together. If you have any specific admissions questions, our staff who's helping out on the back end, Liz and David, thank you for being here today. They can answer those questions for you there as well. That's it for housekeeping items. I'm thrilled to welcome this panel of current students and alumni. I'm going to pass it over to Lynn Shi, an alumna from the class of 2020, who will first introduce herself and then follow with introductions from the rest of our panelists. Lynn, I'm going to let you take it from here. Thank you so much for being part of our panel today.
Thank you, Jan. It's really my honor to be here to host this panel. So let's do the first round of introduction. Panelists, please introduce yourself, including your name, class year, location, and your work information. In the tradition of a Friday morning panel of peers or pop session, please tell us one thing that we won't be able to find you on social media, LinkedIn, or Google. Let me start with myself, and my name is Lindsay, and I'm from class of 2020, located in New Jersey. I work for Merck. My day job, I lead pharmaceutical development working group teams to develop and produce some of the life-saving medicines. And what I'm sharing today is not representing my company view, just a personal journey and experience. Now let's go to Alicia.
Hi, my name is Alicia Hardy. I am from the class of 2023. I live in Northern California in Napa Valley. I am a CEO of a community health center, federally qualified health center. So we serve about 40,000 low-income patients across multiple counties. And one thing that you wouldn't know about me is that I run 1 marathon every decade. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker by training before becoming an administrator. So thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Let's go to Jonathan.
Thank you, Lynn. Hello, my name is Jonathan Camacho from the class of 2020. Born and raised in Bronx, New York. Just my background is in healthcare sales. I've been in the healthcare space about 15 years. I've worked at companies from Novartis all the way through Johnson & Johnson, and currently working at a startup healthcare company that works on a buy and bill model to help doctors make money off of FDA approved products. Something you won't know about me as a Bronx kid, I didn't learn how to swim growing up, but I am an international scuba diver now. So I've done about 600 scuba dives. I like to scuba dive across the world, especially in Indonesia and the Philippines as well.
Very nice. Let's go to Tamar.
Hey guys, good morning. Thanks for having me here. My name is Taimur Raja. I am a dentist and I own and operate my own small group. We have 6 office locations, about 50 people in our group. We're trying to figure out ways to integrate dentistry and medicine, looking at doing things like that. That's what brought me to SOM. Things that people may not know about me on Google and social media. I don't know. I think probably that I love everything on 2 wheels. So I'm a big road cyclist and I recently gotten into motorcycles as well.
Thank you, Tamar. Tricia?
And thank you. And it's great being here. So thanks for having me today. I'm Tricia Farmer. I am part of the class of 2023. I live in Connecticut. That's my home base. But during the week, I live in Hoboken, New Jersey. I'm the vice president of pediatrics at Hackensack Meridian Health. And part of my title is about care transformation services. So what it really means, it's sort of like a COO, Chief Strategy Officer role for their 230-bed children's hospital, which are located throughout New Jersey. And prior to that, I was at Connecticut Children's as a vice president there, doing a lot with market share and growth. So I can't just share one thing about me. I'll share two quickly. I can't cook. And if I try to cook, the fire alarms go off. So it's pretty embarrassing if I even attempt it. And secondly, my hobby, if I wasn't in healthcare, I'd be an Egyptologist. So I love ancient Egypt and I studied the Amarna period. So I'm the person on the beach with a book about ancient Egypt and people just walk by and look at me and say, what is she reading? That's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Tricia. One thing you won't find about me on the internet is I make chocolates. I make artisan chocolate, try different recipes. So that's something you won't be able to find it on Google. Very good, very good. Thank you all to the panelists. Now let's begin. Let's start from the beginning. Let's share your experience considering and applying to the programs and your decision on why EMBA, why Yale, why healthcare track. How does the area of focus structure factor into your consideration, and how does the healthcare area of focus interest you specifically? Anyone wants to get us started? John, okay, go ahead, Tricia.
Oh, I can get us going. So I am by education, I have a master's as an advanced practice pediatric nurse and spent clinical time in pediatric critical care. So my entire career has been pediatric care. And I went into nursing management fairly quickly, operations, I'm very focused in operations, and then did a lot with corporate services, risk management, quality, safety. And then I ended up over the last 6 or 7 years doing the business ends of things, growth and strategy. And I realized at that time, getting an MBA could help me, but I looked into regular MBA programs. And for me, that would have just been checking a box and walking out with a degree, which I did not want to do. I was all about the experience. So I looked into Yale's executive program for the MBA, and it was like a light came on for me. At that moment, I said, this is it. I have my master's from Yale as an advanced practice nurse. So I knew what it was like to be part of the Yale community. And it really is a community. It's amazing. And when I started reading about the program, I'm like, that's it. That's the place. That's for me. I knew immediately that I needed to come back to Yale. And the other thing with healthcare, there's other students in the class that are asset management and sustainability. And everything that we're doing and everything that we're moving towards is really about, like, healthcare is a business. It's about finance and it's about sustainability too. So to be with other students in the class who were in those tracks, that's what appealed to me. And I knew at that moment that Yale was the place for me.
That's great. That's great. Jonathan, Tamar,
Yeah.
you wanted to?
Yeah, Lynn, I mean, I think, thank you, Trish. I mean, I think that kind of is kind of along the lines of what I was thinking as well. Back in 2017, I was in search for management courses while I was growing my organization. And, there's a lot of different kind of weekend courses of management, how to run your dental practice better and things like that. They're all very cookie cutter though. They want you to apply a certain formula or whatnot. I just got tired of those kind of things. And so as we were growing, we realized there's a bigger problem. There's more people, there's more operations to handle across different locations and whatnot. And I did the same thing. I started searching for different management programs and came across different MBA programs. And again, they were cookie cutter. They were kind of, there's one right down the street here, but it's John Hopkins, and it's all online. And I sat in one of their classes and I just didn't get, something significant or valuable. It was all remote. I couldn't interact with people there. But then when I looked up this program, said, aha, this is exactly what I'm looking for, right? You're on campus, you're interacting with these amazing faculty, amazing colleagues, classmates, and all of these courses, I mean, they just totally made sense. I mean, a focus track just on healthcare, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Perfect, perfect. Now that's our high level, again, let's actually drill down a little bit about just healthcare as an area of focus. Part of the intention for that, structure, right, to have healthcare track is really to allow students really come in to learn from faculty and peers in a way that allows them to bring value to their work and companies on a weekly basis. Was there anything that you guys can share about lessons or insights that you immediately took from the weekly, classes and bringing it right back into your work that you can share, like to your day-to-day job professionally? Go ahead, Trisha or Tamar, you guys wanted to continue on the?
Yes, I can start.
Sure.
I knew being in this program, I was going to learn information that I could apply in my everyday job. I didn't expect to be able to apply it so quickly. So I would have classes on the weekend and learn things, and I'd go back to work on Monday morning and automatically be thinking differently, be thinking about a problem that I had at work, and suddenly I would connect it back to what I learned in the EMBA classroom. And sometimes when you think about it in healthcare, you're like, okay, so how will, if I'm in, let's say an operations class, how will that relate back to healthcare? Well, I can give you an example even from yesterday. I was in a meeting and we were talking about provider staffing and long wait times for patients. And people were like, well, we got to figure out how many providers we really need to take care of these patients. And I thought about it. Well, in my operations class just the other day, I learned a critical ratio formula that looks at wait times. And so I could figure out exactly the number of providers we need to get down on the wait time. So that's just one example. And there's so many more. I recently was in charge of a buy-in to a surgical center, which I had never done before. So that kind of came my way to do. And I had a class called Investor. Well, Investor talked about valuation. They talked about different kinds of stocks. Well, when I was doing this buy-in, I didn't have that background. That class gave me what I needed. It was sort of just in time learning. It was absolutely perfect. So those are just a couple examples, but what you get from the healthcare, from the class applies right away to anything you're doing in healthcare. It's amazing. I thought it would take longer. It happened right away.
It's almost right away. Perfect, yeah. Perfect. Anyone has anything to add, Alicia or Jonathan, regarding?
Yeah,
Come on, go ahead.
One of the classes that was most impactful for me that I could start using right away was sourcing and managing funds. Building out projections, building out cash flows and things like that when you're acquiring a company or when you're looking at your company and pitching it to private equity and things like that. We were in the middle of a lot of those things while I was in the program. So it was really meaningful for me as well.
Very good. I can't agree more. Actually, there were cases that I, immediately the independent project that I worked on the second year was directly from my company. So we are evaluating the asset that in acquisition, as we go, while we're learning in the class. So very good, very good. Now let's look at our SOA mission and our healthcare. Now you guys know healthcare was, the first area of focus when Yale EMBA program began, with asset management and sustainability added in 2014. And the area of focus were very intentional because they all have, the objective of having a lasting and positive impact on people and organizations. That just makes sense. That aligned with your mission to educate leaders for business and society. What does it mean to you, right? Alicia and Jonathan, if you can share your thoughts. What does that mean to you to be a leader at the nexus of the business and society within this field? And what have you seen the most, important issues within this field? And how has the program helped you in addressing or tackle those problems?
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. And for me, this was the immediate draw of the Yale EMBA was this mission statement of business and society. And growing up in the Bronx, being an East Harlem native for pretty much my whole entire life, some of the health in terms of highest asthma rates, highest concentration of methadone clinics than any other part of Manhattan. Like I was just always concerned about the health of just one little community and how business problems can solve some of these health issues. So sitting on these local community boards in the city and just listening to these problems, mainly from the health perspective, I've always was driven by the fact, how can we use business tools to solve these problems? And that was the immediate draw when I saw Yale SOM had this healthcare track that mainly focused in this area. And as much as the coursework did help me understand the problem, it put me at ease that the problem is really hard to solve. I thought coming out the program that I will be with this belt, this Batman belt, if you will, of all these tools and how to solve all the problems of East Harlem and in these areas that have just a lot of challenges. But the fact is the problems are so multifactorial and so orthogonal that at the minimum, I know where to start now. And I think that's one of the best things about the Yale SOM EMBA program is they make you look at the lens of business and how society plays into that, and vice versa, how society plays into business. And from a leadership perspective, I don't think that, I've made a lot of impact in terms of leading organizations, but I do affect the leaders around me. I'm always at the table with the knowledgeable folks who are going to make the decisions. I find myself more as an individual impact player because I just enjoy the fact that I can jump around to different groups really easily in sales and really understand the provider's concerns and then funnel those issues up back to the leadership teams. So from my leadership perspective, the program really helped me just hone in deeper on where I should be focusing on and put me at ease most of that. These problems are going to take time. It's going to take knowledgeable people. And I'm happy to be a part of the process as opposed to feeling like a victim in the process.
Very good, Jonathan. Alicia, could you share your thoughts on that as well?
Sure. So I was drawn to Yale for all of the reasons people have stated. In fact, I only applied to this program if I didn't get in. I obviously might have looked for other options, but I was really set on being part of it because of the mission and also because of the POSM Commonwealth Fund Fellowship. So I'm part of that fellowship program, which really focuses on health equity. And for me, in my current role, my whole career has been in nonprofit, working with vulnerable communities. Actually, I spent some time in the Bronx as well, the asthma and other public health issues. And it is incredibly complex. And what I've gotten most out of the program so far are the relationships with the other individuals in the class, the ability to interact and get such diverse perspectives, even within the healthcare program. So we all have different lenses and areas that we come at problems with, but to be able to be in a cohort with people who are in all different sectors of healthcare, from pharmaceuticals to sales to, entrepreneurs, medical device, healthcare providers, physicians, nurses, it's just so rich in its diversity. And I've been so impressed with the commitment from people who are really trying to solve these problems and want to collaborate and put their heads together outside of class on things unrelated to coursework. It's the people that are drawn to this program are those people who want to be change agents, be part of the solution, change things, and are not happy with the status quo. And that is exactly the energy and experience that I was looking for.
Excellent. It really is true. Like we have such a diverse classmates, right? From different background, for-profit, nonprofit, and even, different levels of healthcare, in terms of hospital, pharma, biotech, and even small organizations, large organizations. And those really experience that we share with among us are the eye-opening things for us to tackle this problem. Very good. Now let's look at, let's share something about, the impact of the program for us as a student. Jonathan, Tamar, and I have been out of EMBA program now for almost 2 years, right before the pandemic hit, and continuing to experience the impact it has had on us. Both you, Alicia and Tricia, you guys can, and both, Can you guys, when you think about the EMBA in general, what has the impact been for you? And really, like, because you're still in the program, what, if anything, has changed for you, for you, like, professionally since starting the program? Or are there any ways in which you think about your industry, or how you really fix or tackle the challenges and have shifted in the last year?
Actually, Alicia, if you don't mind, I'll jump in and start. A lot actually has changed for me since I started this program. So we started back in July, and shortly afterwards, a recruiter reached out to me. And at that time, I wasn't really looking for a new job, but the recruiter was actually an EMBA graduate from a few years earlier and knew about this program. So she found me and sought me out and came after me a few times to say, just talk to me about this new job. So my life changed considerably. When this recruiter reached out, I ended up with this fantastic job, incredible experience, and have the ability now to impact kids and families in pediatric healthcare in New Jersey, which is amazing. But another thing that I'll mention that really inspired me is we have healthcare colloquium as part of our curriculum. So there was a speaker one day, Keith Churchwell, who is the CEO of Yale New Haven Hospital, and he was talking about his career path and how he started, and a lot of it was through those taps on the shoulder. And eventually he got to the point where he decided he was going to control his own career destiny. And I related to him. My career has sort of paralleled what he was talking about. And I realized my career has been a lot of those taps on the shoulder where I've gotten moved up and promoted every probably couple years, sometimes even quicker, to the executive level. But as Keith Churchwell was speaking, he inspired me. And it was at that point I said, he took control of what he's doing. Look at what he is doing right now. And my goal is to be a CEO of a children's hospital. I'm like, it's time for me to make a change. So he inspired me to make the change that has put me in this new role that I'm in right now at Hackensack Meridian Health. And it's been incredible. So just through a healthcare colloquium, there's so many people out there that are so willing to mentor and work with you. It was amazing.
Very, very good. Very good. Alicia?
So I haven't switched positions. I'm still in my current CEO role, but I have really begun to think differently about the system in which I operate. I think, the benefit of having access to different perspectives, just to give you a couple examples. So being in a nonprofit organization that is largely funded by government insurance payers, there isn't a lot of thinking about how to bring in for-profit or partner with businesses differently to make change. We sort of stay in our own siloed system. And since the program, I've really started to question the status quo and was able to facilitate a merger to create more stability on sort of a larger consortium level with different across 6 counties. And I'm also starting conversations with a peer organization about merging just to have more economies of scale and just leveraging resources differently. Again, something I wouldn't have thought about prior to the program. And so I feel very fortunate to have these new skills and new ways of thinking, and also just another level of leadership. There's been so much complexity thrown at leaders today, especially in healthcare, trying to manage everything that healthcare involves, from staffing to responding to social issues, to taking positions on what's happening in the world around us, and ensuring that people feel that there is diversity, equity, and inclusion happening in organizations, and trying to keep businesses running and efficient in a system that is not always aligned with the outcomes that we want to see in terms of value and health when we talk about payment structures. So it's given me more confidence as a leader as well to not be afraid of change, even in uncertain and complex times.
That is excellent to hear. That's exactly what I would, say really is at the time when you learn those classes on a weekly basis, you use it right away at your work. Regarding whether make a change or even pivot to a different field, or it just opens doors to a lot of opportunities. Jonathan and Tamar, is there anything you wanted to add on that topic? Okay. now let's, if nothing, let's discuss, what makes up, made up our community at Yale. SOM, who are the classmates in your area of focus, and how did those relationships impact your experience? How did you connect with students outside of healthcare track, generally and broadly? What are the class weekends look like, right? This would be really helpful for prospective students. And this can be anything from, you travel to school, being at school, or exploring Yale. How did you stay connected with classmates? Maybe, Tamar and Jonathan, we can talk about while we were in-person program mostly, and then we will come to Trisha and Alicia and share their experience about like more virtual setting. How's that?
Definitely. I'll just kick it off. I was super addicted to the program. I mean, it was a combination of like your best TV talk show that had the best debaters. And that was every weekend for me. Like you'll sit down and you just start hearing all this knowledge being spewed and talked about. And then you're taking this all in all at once. And then you get to go home and practice it. And that type of feeling I have never received in my career. At least at the minimum, I have been told kind of where the track should go and I followed it. But here you were just able just to really lean on unique thoughts, unique people, and just really just let yourself go. Once we went dark during the pandemic in terms of just staying home, I found unique ways just to stay connected all the time with my peers. And I felt even during the pandemic, I got stronger relationships during that period. But the on-campus community, when you're here, is on fire. I tell you, from like, I used to get here on Thursday evenings because I would take Thursday evening classes as well. And the moment I stepped on campus, it was just this rush of energy. And between the classmates, the classroom, the cocktails afterwards, getting up super early again to do it all over again, it was just this amazing just experience that I've ever experienced in my professional career that had this 2-year endurance to it. And the only thing I would say is this, like right now, I'm starting to reap the benefits afterwards, only because I'm part of the Yale Club in Manhattan. So I'm consistently connecting with the Yale community in general. Yale is this enduring educational community. They're always sending out information of webinars you can attend to learn more about what's happening around the world, what's happening in science. It is just a ongoing forever experience. And I just think that once you step on campus, you're just going to be sucked in and you're just going to go for this wild ride. And if you're here, you're qualified, apply today. That's all I got to say. Apply today. Don't even wait. Just apply today.
Call the number on your screen.
There's no need, I'm pretty sure. Tamar, I know you used to travel on every other weekend, right? What was that, look like to you, and how did you, managed through that 2-year period?
Yeah, no, it was awesome, but very well put, Jonathan. I mean, that's exactly the feeling that I got out of it. And I think that, when COVID times hit and we kind of went remote for the last 1 or 2 sessions, I mean, I was really having withdrawal. I really just needed to be on campus, meet the folks that I meet, go to the places that I go to, and just interact, right? I think that, I think your trip, Jonathan, may have been a little shorter. You're coming from New York, right? And so I was coming from DC, and it was just this every 2 weeks, this ritual. I would get to Union Station early. I would get my blue bottle coffee at the one place there. I would get in the zone, get on my train, get my laptop, my iPad ready, and that was my 4 hours or 5 hours of just me time, getting stuff done for class, making sure everything is done, communicating with people, making sure we're making reservations for Barcelona that was right next door to the Omni, for drinks and whatnot, so it's like, can't wait till you get there. You can't wait to connect with everybody, right? And a lot of us are still on WhatsApp, and when somebody gets to DC, we always link up and have dinner and and catch up and stuff. There's a couple of folks who live here, and we meet on a regular basis as well. So, I mean, a really, really exceptional experience.
Yeah, I really think that class weekend was really, you can you can temporarily put off your work and really focus on the classwork. That was very important for us to really like engage the conversations, brainstorm with your peer or even with your learning team, and see them and work together on the homeworks and projects, and come up with new ideas. And those moments are really important as part of the program. Was there any favorite moment that you like to share?
Oh my gosh, so many. I mean,
So many. Okay, that I'm not gonna put you to the spot. Trisha and Alicia, what about you guys? I know your experience is slightly different because you're still the first year and mostly probably still virtual, right?
Well, I can offer, we're in person actually.
Oh.
And I can, maybe I'll offer, just to give a different perspective, the out of class experience. So we have a group who genuinely wants to connect and know each other, not just on a professional and class basis, but on a personal level too. I feel like I've met so many of my classmates' partners, children. There's been trips and exploration of places things that I would have never imagined could be part of the program. Just to give you an example, I live in Napa, as I mentioned, and I put out, we have so many different subgroups of support, right? So a group that likes to run, we have your learning team, you have different, and you know, the WhatsApp is constant, but talking with each other about different topics. And I put it out there, does anybody want to come run this marathon in Napa coming up? And it turned out that 37 of our Yale classmates flew to Napa. And we had a whole weekend with wine tasting and running and dinner and party busted. And, you know, it was just, and that just shows how much, and people brought, you know, partners, and it was so thrilling for me. I got to give them a tour of my health center, show them the work that I do. And that was, I think, maybe the largest group that we've had, but there's been a lot of that. We actually have one of our classmates who runs a resort in Fiji and is planning to host anyone who wants to come out for a week there. And our Global Virtual Network Week is unfortunately going to be virtual, but the class is organizing a trip to Europe in between the first and second year for us to do something together. So I would have never expected that going into the program, that outside of the amazing class weekends, there would also be an opportunity to travel and bond and get to know people on such a different level.
Very well, very well. Trisha or Jonathan, any favorite moment that you had so far?
I can share some of my favorite moments, and this may sound so simple, but they are amazing times. We occasionally have these dinners where our class reps put together a group that don't interact on a regular basis. So they're classmates, you see them, but you don't spend a ton of time with them. So we go out to dinner, like there might be 5 of us that get together. We don't know each other well, and you just learn so much about each other. Somebody picks a spot and we all just meet up on a Friday night. And those have been so valuable. I have found out so many incredible things about my classmates who are totally amazing people. And as Alicia was saying, it's almost like these aren't just classmates. These people become almost like family. The network is incredible. Like everybody is there to support each other. I've never felt anything like it. It's amazing.
It is. It truly is.
Just kind of building off of that a little bit. You know, one of my, it's an enduring WhatsApp group, but we had what we called the train group. It's the train crew. And it was the New York to Stanford train crew. And it was a party train for 2 hours after school on Saturday. Like, you're burnt out, but no, keep going. And it was all the folks who lived in New York. I think T joined that at one point. Everybody kind of joined the party train. And then the conductors on that train just got to know us. So they kind of quarantined off a little spot for us because they knew these were the Yale EMBAs coming in. And it just became this really unique, organic, like, group setting that I never thought I would experience on the train. And you just get these spontaneous events. And I think that's what everybody's kind of highlighting. Like, these are such well-qualified, brilliant people. We're here to also let off some steam. And when we let off steam, it's so much fun. And it's from marathon running to drinking on a train for 2 hours. Those are some of the things that I really enjoy.
Very, very good. There's so many moments that, you know, as a class that we do right together. as a learning team, we do together, and even offline in personal life, get together to, continue that learning from the classroom to the life, to real, life setting. It's amazing to see those happening. Now, as we are, reflecting and really, share those experience. Now, I want to use this last question to, if there's anything, what is that one piece of advice or the best practice, or even like something you wish you knew earlier before you joined the program, or you like to share with our audience, and it may help shape their experience better, either as applicants or potential members of SOM community? Was there anything that you wanted to share with our audience today? Taman, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, I'll start it. I know that I guess the mix of people who are watching this, probably some of them have become admitted already and are considering it. Maybe other people are still looking to apply. But we've been talking about all the fun times and all the cool things that we do. The reality of this is also that it's a really challenging program, and it comes with a lot of hard work as well. And that's important to know, because if I'm going to spend 2 years of my time traveling and doing a program, I don't want it just to be partying and kind of having fun, which is awesome, but I want it to be worth it, right? And so this is a program where day one, they said, hey, look, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of commitment. It's a rigorous program. And so I really, really enjoyed that. And if you're considering doing a program and spending your time and your money, this is probably something that is a really big consideration in your decision making. And so I would say pick the program that will actually make you work for it.
Very well put. Very well put. Trisha?
And just what Tamar was saying, when you work for it, it is a rigorous program, but it makes it so worthwhile when you're putting in that much work. But my one piece of advice to everyone would be push yourself, get outside of your comfort zone. Push yourself, get out there, talk to people, network. Like at the Omni, where we stay on Friday nights, I talk to people in the elevator. I talk to people everywhere. I've met incredible people. And actually, I've met a group, part of my classmates that we formed a small group, and we're doing a startup together. And I'm a healthcare executive. One's a surgeon, one is in IT, one is an engineer, and another one is in pharmaceutical sales. So together we formed the perfect team for a startup. So push yourself, get out of the comfort zone. Don't, sometimes I think it's easy to get into, this is hard, it's going to take 100% of my time. And it does take a lot of time, but enjoy your time and push yourself and talk to people and do different things. It's your time for that experience.
It is indeed, like, truly challenge yourself. And this is the program allow you to do that. This is a program has all the rigor, the requirement, the rigor. As what Taman said, if you're going to spend 2 years of your life, you might get something, fully engaged and get some learning, real learning, right, out of the program. Very well, very well. Alicia, anything you like to share with our audience?
I guess I would share, because the 3 separate cohorts or the 3 separate tracks are all very different, and they bring people with different backgrounds. I think I was somewhat intimidated by the intensity of the quantitative requirements, being a social worker by training, and then sitting next to people who are in asset management, or, for example, in my learning team, one of my members already has a PhD in economics. I've never taken an econ class in my life. So there's kind of a wide range, but I think the program does such an amazing job of constructing the learning teams, and it really doesn't feel like a competitive environment with each other. It feels competitive because it's rigorous, but there's so much support and so much desire to teach and learn from each other. So even though I probably started on the lower end in terms of skills quantitatively, I can't believe what I can do now, even just this far into the program, in areas that I have never never even worked. And so that part, I guess my advice would just be prepared, but don't be intimidated, because it truly is possible to be successful. And if you are lucky enough to get accepted into this program, you deserve to be here, and your cohort, your team will help all along the way.
Very well, definitely. And that's what we have the best thing is the learning team. We can rely on each other to accomplish something that bigger than us, right? Individually. Jonathan, anything you like to share about your best practices?
I think mine is one of the most practical. We started my assignment work early. Like the class ended on Saturday, I was working on it Sunday, Monday, because I just wanted to leave such a large space to interact with my classmates and get to know professors. I didn't want to be on campus doing coursework that was submitted that day or that afternoon. So my practical advice is if you can jump on your coursework early or your contribution to the teamwork early, get on it. So when the time you get onto campus, you're just soaking in that Yaleness all in. You don't want to miss that. So that's my practical piece of advice. And I think everybody here is pretty awesome. So I'm glad I got to meet you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Now with all that, Joanne, I'm going to return the floor to you. Let's see if there's any questions from the audience.
Wonderful, thank you, Lynn. I don't have any live questions. I do want to turn the question back about advice to you, Lynn. What is your best piece of advice that you would give to somebody who might be considering the program? We want to make sure we give you a chance to answer that one too.
Sure. My advice is really, you need to have a good attitude. Just like when you come to the program, you always, because all of us have been working in the industry for so many years before joining the program, we always feel like we learned something already. But I would say be open-minded, just to listen to different perspectives, because the more you open, the more empty you feel you have been there, the more learning you can take from the community home, right? To bring that back to your work and life. So that would be my advice.
That's perfect. Thank you, Lynn. And then I guess I do have one more question that came through in an email. And it's a question we get fairly often from prospective students who understand that they are part of SOM, but may not understand exactly how being part of SOM means you are part of Yale. And I love what Jonathan just said about sort of soaking in all the Yale-ness of Yale, but maybe particularly, for those that have, looking back on it, what was so Yale-y about Yale? What sorts of things did you do? And I'd love for particular alumni to mention maybe one or two Friday night events. So typically in non-COVID times, we have Friday night cross-campus events, and Alicia and Tricia probably had an opportunity to check out a couple of those so far. But what is it about Yale? What does it mean to be at the university? Anybody want to tackle that one?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think we were submerged into the Yale community really well. I think, I remember going to hockey games. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun. And we would go to the graduate, what is it called? The graduate club, Morty's. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun as well. And Yale always put in this effort to do campus tours. And myself, I enjoyed, when I did have to do homework while, during orientation week and all that, doing homework and things like that, I'd always like to pick a different library and just go into that library and just experience it, and just sit there. And the libraries are absolutely beautiful across campus.
Has such a, abundant, really culture events going on any given day that you can really immerse yourself into that kind of setting. That was one of the things really unique for me, and I was really happy that I get a lot of opportunity to participate in those events, like the football games with Harvard, and hockey game, or even check out the museum around the campus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think one of my comments would be that we had an experience with one of the colleges has a printing press downstairs, and a traditional manual printing press from the 1800s. And I was so impressed with it. We made these little coasters for our drinks. And then I was so impressed with the program even more downstairs that I had one of the students make my Christmas cards and my thank you cards in the thousands. And I paid, and she loved it. She was making hundreds of bucks off of me just to make these cards. And I just really like this. That was like so awesome. And I want to share that there's these little moments that just happen when you integrate with the campus, and the undergrads and the graduates they're just so open to talking. So that's been the Yaliness I'm talking about, those random acts.
We're going to coin the phrase Yaliness after this. I'm so thrilled to end on such a positive note. Lynn, thank you so much for being such a wonderful moderator. Alicia, Trisha, Jonathan, Timur, it's such a pleasure to see you. I'm looking forward to seeing at least a couple of you this weekend for our upcoming class weekend, and hopefully all of you soon as our alumni start to come back to campus and revisit their time at SOM. So thank you so much for your time, panelists. It's such a thrill to see you. What a wonderful discussion. And I want to thank all of our participants who took their time to be with us today as well. The session will be recorded. We'll hop on our YouTube channel and make sure that you can view that again if you wish, or pass it along. And I'll wish everybody who's on the call a wonderful rest of the day. Anybody who's considering applying to the program, feel free to reach out to the EMBA admissions team, myself, David, Liz, Emily, or Christine. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and looking forward to seeing you in person or virtually soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye.